they are invading the car shops in Lagos State and then locking up those car shops. And so when my client invited me to come into the matter, I asked them what are the issues, and they told me that over time that has been the practice. Custom will just come and lock up their shops and make one kind of allegation or the other, and then they will now rush and go and to them and then they start extorting them. I said, why have you been complying with that? Is there no way you guys can could have sought for a remedy in law against them? And so that's why they came to me, and that I know I can handle a matter like this. So I said, okay, let's start with what is the allegation against you people? They said that they allege that they are smuggler, that all the cars in their shops were smuggled. I said, is that correct? Because that is contrary to the law. You're not supposed to smuggle cars and sell it in the country. If you guys are car smuggler, then you count me out. I said, no, none of them are smugglers. None of them. So what they told me is that they have complied with all the requirements in clearing any car that has been imported into the country. So they are not in any areas. They were properly cleared and release order issued for the cars to be released to them. I said, in that wise, give me your document. They showed me all their documents showing that all those cars passed through the port here in Apapa and all that. So I said, in that wise, you don't have any problem. If they now let us go and see them. We went to see customs and tendered all the papers. Customs now say, oh, they are no longer smuggled cars, that they are under-assessed. I said, what do you mean by that? Are you not the one that assessed them at the port? Are you not the one that issued release order? They were not talking about post-audit, and they discovered that these cars were not properly paid for. I say, if they were not properly paid, which of them? Is it all the cars in their shops? Because you don't come and lock up a car shop where you cannot identify any car that have actually committed an infraction. And they were not able to say anything. They say all the cars, they should come and pay differences of so amount of money. And I told them that is not proper. So we had a press conference, did a rally, and then I sued them. And so the case has lasted up till this time last year, December, when judgment was delivered. And the court found out that the procedure adopted by Customs was illegal, was not right. You can't come and lock up all car shops without identifying any car that have committed an infraction. And you can't even do that without any proper court order. There was no valid court order. And even if you think you're operating under your laws also have a limitation. The law says you must have timeline within which you can even come and seize any of the cars. And most of the cars there have been there for 2, 3, 5 years and all that. So you have no right to come and lock up the shops. And for that purpose, 500 million damages was awarded. I'm going to cross appeal. If they say that I hear they're going to appeal, I will cross appeal against the amount of money that was awarded, because the amount of money is supposed to be bigger and more than what was awarded to the car dealers. So we have secured victory. The court found it that it was clearly illegal and unwarranted for them to have come to seal their car shops without identifying any car that have committed that has an infraction on. And it's also wrong for them to go and waylay some people on the road who have cleared their cars at the wharf, and then they ask them to come and pay another amount of money. Why this is very bad is that there is no single car that has been cleared from the wharf that the customs will see on the way and say this car is properly paid for. All the cars, according to them, are under assess. So it means that we're encouraging criminality at all fronts. We encourage criminality at the port. We encourage criminality on the road. Because a judge told me a story of a certain thing that happened to him. He was also waylaid on the road and his car impounded. And they said that he underpaid. This is a judge that doesn't want any embarrassment. He said, how much? And he paid the difference. Only for him to be accosted again 2 months after and said that he underpaid. And the man got so infuriated and got to know that this is really scam. That what these guys are doing on the road is scam. What customs are doing is clearly scam. There is no way they see any car and will tell you that that car is properly assessed. So the issue is who does the assessment? Who does the release order? You are the one who assess. You are the one who value and say this is how much you should go and pay. So if you cannot commit your error at the wharf, you should not hold anyone responsible. And even if you want to do your so-called post-audit, when you identify the car that is under assess, you must come and pick the car and not to lock up shops. and they render people's business, comatose. So it is clearly something that is bad, something that is not business friendly. The other is that they should not do what they have been doing before, going locking up car shops or stopping people on the way and begin to talk about under assessment. You don't do that. That is clearly illegal. If a car is properly assessed and cleared, and you release them at the port, you have no right to go on and waylay them on the road and say, "Oh, this is under assessed," or you have no right to go and lock up car shops. If you cannot identify the car, the particular car that you said has committed an infraction of. So that's what we're saying, that the new law now, the new position of things is that the custom has no right to be doing what they have been doing before. So they have to respect that judgment. And as I said earlier, that judgment stands. And I'm ready to go with them all the way to the Court of Appeal, even to Supreme Court. And then we'll be able to canvass our position. What is our position? That if you identify any car that is an infraction of, you pick up that car. You don't just go ahead and say, "Oh, I'm suspecting smuggling." From smuggling, you now change your story and suspect under assessment, which means you have no reason in the first place to have locked up the car shop. You have no reason to have locked up the car shop. They didn't have any good reason why they came to lock it, because when we approached them, the initial allegation was that they were all smuggled. So when we now show them document that these cars passed through the port, they say, "Oh, it was under assessed." So what was the reason for you to come and lock the car shops? It wasn't smuggling then. It wasn't even on assessment. You were just doing it, in a manner that shows you can do anything and get away with it. So the court felt that without any valid court order, you have no right to have gone to go and lock up the car. You have deprived a lot of people of their finances, of their business, business gains. You have even discouraged investors. No investor will want to come into a country where there is uncertainty in law. I've cleared my things, and you now come up on the road. They even do it, or go into the kitchens of people to go and say, so some grains of rice or bags of rice they have are smuggled or imported, are wrongly. So you ask yourself, how did this things pass through the border? Who allowed them? And most of the time they collect money. At the same time, give evidence. Give their fellows your information. Go over there that those rices. Now, let me tell you a story that happened. One time, somebody bought rice and then put them in his shops, and then got somebody to come and pay for those bags of rice. So when those people paid for those bags of rice, they marked them. They marked those bags of rice that they paid for. 2 days later, custom, invaded that particular shop and carted away all those rice on the ground that they were smuggled rice. Are you following me?
Yes, sir.
And they were surprised. So later, they didn't know how these bags of rice found itself into the market. We are being sold. But what gave them up now was that those rice, remember, was marked. And so when the person saw, this is the bags of rice that I bought, these are our markets. That's how police were invited and all that to carry out investigation. Do you know that nobody was arrested? Nobody was. This is the rice they said that was smuggled. But this same rice that was smuggled and carted away by custom found itself back into the market. So it gives room for you now to know that this is clearly criminal activity that has been going on over the years, and nobody has been able to speak up. Nobody has been able to tackle it. It means that like custom now is above the law, just like other security agencies in the country. We should not tolerate lawlessness. We should not encourage it. A lot of things have been happening in the country that shouldn't happen, and we have allowed it to go, that way, because we are afraid to do certain things in order to correct the system. That's why some of us are saying, no, we cannot allow our country to be taken away by those who are criminally minded, because it makes investors to be very afraid of coming to your country. They can come. And if they don't come, the country is dying gradually. It affects your children. It affects generations that are born. But we must begin to sanitize the system by taking bold steps like this and challenging some of the infractions of government. Because if you don't challenge them, they will continue to exhibit all this lawlessness and impunity. And we must not continue that way. That is why I do all the things that I do in public interest cases, by following Fawemi's style. Fawemi will see something that is wrong. He doesn't have any knife. He doesn't have any gun. What does he do? He uses instrument of law in order to correct some of these excesses of government and say, no, you can't continue like this. And most times he has succeeded. So I'm really towing his part. I say, look, we must use law, use the court in order to make government to be in tandem with what the laws have said, and not doing anything. The point is that criminality has been allowed to thrive over the years. and it's becoming a habit, a custom, to now begin to allow such excesses. Like you mentioned, why wouldn't they man their borders? Why wouldn't they man the ports? Why would you now be following people up to the point of going to their kitchen to go and say, oh, this bag of rice is smuggled? Who allowed them into the country in the first place? So I'm saying it is because of these things are not challenged. It's because nobody has spoken up against them. That is why they are extending their powers even beyond the limit of the law and testing your patience and trying to see what can you do. And that's why I'm very, very happy with the car dealers who say enough is enough. Some of them were very afraid. In fact, the president of the Car Dealers Association issued a statement, and we are not with those who are going to court against custom because they are afraid that they're ready to go and settle with custom. If you Google, is there. The president of the, according who claim is the president of the entire car association in Nigeria, claim that they are not ready to go to court against custom. But there are those factions who said, no, we cannot allow this to continue. And we feel that our lawyers should be able to challenge and get a reprieve and get a remedy for us. And they continue with me. At the time, they themselves also became very disillusioned because at one instant the matter was struck out. I had to, use my money to fight. And the reason that they gave, well, we didn't serve them a pre-action notice. Whereas we did, and we provided evidence. But I didn't want to waste time on appeal. I now had to do all that again, and then went back to court. And that culminated in judgment that was delivered on 27th of December. So what I'm trying to say is that you must be willing and be steady and courageous and bold enough to challenge some of these infractions that are committed by government agents, in the country. There is a lot of lawlessness going on. There's a lot of impunity in the system. And if you don't challenge them, they'll become to grow fatter and fatter and fatter to the extent that one day there's nothing stopping them from asking you to remove the pant you are wearing in order to find out whether that part is smuggled or imported into the country dutifully. So we must begin to ask them to respect the law and obey the law and operate within the limits of the law. And if they exceed the limits of the law, we should be able to tell them that we can challenge them and challenge them appropriately to a law court. And then when you now have judges that are very bold enough, because one thing again is that I find a lot of public interest cases, some of the judges are very, very afraid. They are very timid to give bold judgment. But it's you pray to have a good judge who will listen and look at the facts of the case and then be bold enough to say, no, this is wrong. Oh, this is right. Are you following me? So again, I want to appreciate the judge who gave that judgment, Justice Awugboro. That was a very beautiful judgment, boldness, exemplified. She really typified, boldness in that judgment by being bold enough, in order to say, no, this is absolutely unlawful.